Shalom, it's Levi Shore. Welcome back to Swinga Torah. So we're doing Parsha Vayechi. We're doing the creation of blessing and the nation of blessing, part 2. And it's such a deep topic, we may even do a part 3 with the rest of the Birkat Yaakov, with the rest of the blessings of Jacob, and then a deep Kabbalistic look into what blessing itself is. We may do a part 4. I don't know. It's so deep, and we got to get to Parsha Shmos. Getting out of Mitzrayim, getting out of Egypt, such an exciting time. All right, so just a quick recap of part 1. The power of blessing itself comes from Hashem, comes from this infinite being, and that's what makes a blessing so powerful, that Hashem will fulfill the blessing. So if not, I mean, people are just saying nice words to someone else, like something good should happen. You should have a recovery from, a fatal illness. You should go from poverty to immense wealth. You should have many children. You should get married. All these amazing things. It's a nice, thing to say to people. But Hashem is actually what makes the power of the bracha, the power of the blessing comes true, and He's the source of all the blessing. And then we see in Sefer Bereshis, in the book of Genesis, that in one aspect, the entire purpose of the world, the creation of the universe and everything, is for bracha, is for blessing. And we see that as the book begins with Hashem creating the world, the earth and the universe and everything else in it, that he begins to bless. Hashem blesses the fish and the birds on day 5, and he blesses mankind. Adam Harishon, Adam the first man, on the 6th day. And then we start to see the transmission of this power of blessing into the Jewish people, first with Avraham, with Abraham, and then to Yitzhak, to Isaac, and then finally to Yaakov, to Jacob. And what we're going to talk about today is we're going to start talking about the power of the Birkat Yaakov, the blessings that Jacob gave to his 12 sons, and then even the sons of Yosef, Ephraim, and Manasseh. Unfortunately, it's such a deep and wondrous and mysterious, topic, and there's so much to talk about. We're going to talk about 6 of the sons today, and B'ezrat Hashem, we'll do more of the other 6. I think I've done a video in the past about the blessing of Ephraim, Manasseh, and that's an incredible topic. So we're going to start with what Yaakov's talking about. So Yaakov, he calls to his sons, and it says, the pasuk says, Hey asfu v'agida lechem, es asher yikra eschem, b'acharis hayamim. And it's this wondrous thing. And Yaakov, he says, assemble yourselves together. He's talking to all his sons, and these are going to become the Shvatim, the tribes of the Jewish people. He says, and I will tell you what will happen to you in the end of days, in this wondrous time we're living in now, scary, terrifying sometimes, but full of potential in the coming of Mashiach, in the end of days, the Acharis Hayami. And then this Asfu, this Asifa, this gathering, this hints to the period of Mashiach ben Yosef, who the mussar says will come first. And one of the jobs of Mashiach ben Yosef is just like Joseph did in Egypt, where he gathered all the Jewish people together in Egypt. So too in the future, B'ezrat Hashem, very soon, we'll see Mashiach ben Yosef, and he's going to gather the Jewish people from the 4 corners of the world, the ingathering of the exiles. I mean, we've seen Baruch Hashem since 1948, millions of Jews have come back to the land of Israel, but we're going to see the final gathering, the real ingathering of all the exiles from every part of the world. And that's hinted at in this age of Mashiach ben Yosef. And then he says, Hikapsu v'shimu b'nei Yaakov, v'shimu el Yisrael avichem. Gather yourselves and listen, children of Yaakov, children of Jacob, the sons of Jacob, and listen to Yisrael, listen to Israel your father. This hints at the period of Mashiach ben David. And Mashiach ben David, so just as Yosef, the power is to gather all the Jewish people back in the land of Israel. We're going to see why. But Mashiach ben David, the descendant of Yehuda, he has the power to unite the Jewish people as one people, and he's going to get rid of that sinas chinam, that baseless hatred that separated us, that caused the sale, the mechiras Yosef, that caused the brothers to sell, Joseph into slavery because of jealousy and hatred, and there's going to be a healing for that, and we'll see the power of Yehuda that does it. Now, there's a very famous Rashi, and Rashi says that Yaakov wanted to reveal the Kates. He wanted to reveal that very special day that Hashem has planned to end this Gullus Edom that we're in, this final exile, this Roman exile. But the Shekhinah departed from him, the Ruach HaKodesh, the Nevuah departed, the prophecy departed from him, and then he began to say other things. So it's a very famous Rashi that's saying that he wanted to reveal what was happening at the Acharis Yamim, but Hashem, withdrew the Nevuah and the Ruach HaKodesh from him, so he didn't know. But what's really interesting is, never noticed this before, but if we really look at the Birkat Yaakov at a Peshat level without this Rashi, he just says, I'm going to reveal what happens at the end of days, and he just starts with all the blessings and the mussar to all the brothers. And literally, there's nothing in the Pesukim that say that, anything is different. I'm going to tell you what happens in the end of days, and here it is, the Birkat Yaakov, the blessing of Jacob. Now, it's very hidden, and it's strange language, and Shvatim and some of the sons are being compared to animals, but there's an amazing thing that's happening here, where there's deep mussar that, is just how to become better, how to become, spiritually greater and closer to Hashem. And there's really, there's Nevuah and Ruach HaKodesh talking about all of Jewish history. Like the whole course of Jewish history is hidden in the Birkat Yaakov. And an incredible thing, I didn't actually see it. I've heard a lot of Rebbeim talk about this in Shirim, that I believe there's a Rashi that says that these blessings, what's so incredible, all the mussar and all the blessings can be tapped into, not just by anyone in that specific shevet, like that specific tribe, but it applies to all the Jewish people. So all these blessings, all the great blessings and all the mussar, all the self-help and the growth, it can apply to anyone. And all the Jewish people have the power to tap into all these amazing blessings. So we'll start with Ruvain. So it sounds like harsh tochacha and rebuke and trying to discipline Ruvain, but it's actually helping Ruvain grow into his full greatness and his tribe to grow into the full greatness. And it's for us too. We can take these lessons. We can learn so much from what Yaakov says to Ruvain. And these are really, it's all the Birkat Yaakov, even though some of it sounds like harsh rebuke. It's amazing. But they're brachas, because if you fulfill this, it's going to lead to greatness. So he says to Ruvain, he says, Bechori, you are my firstborn. Ata kochi, you are my strength. Vereshis oni, and you're the first of my power. Now, one thing that Yaakov was saying is, he's saying, you have all the potential of me. You have all the potential of a Yaakov Avinu, of a Jacob. And you are the Bechor, and you would have got the double portion of land in Eretz Yisrael, in the land of Israel. The kahuna would have been yours. You would have been Kohen Gadol. You would have been the high priest. Your children would be the high priest. And the Malchus, the kingship, would be yours. So this is a valuable lesson. And this shows that with all our potential greatness, we're in danger of losing it. And he gives us an advice. And he says, Pachaz kamayim, you were hasty like water. You were quick to get angry. And what Yaakov is teaching us is anger and a lack of patience and hastiness instead of thinking. Like it says in Mesilas Yesharim, it says in the Ramchal, in his amazing sefer Mesilas Yesharim, how to elevate ourselves to bring the Geula, to bring the redemption. And he says the first madrega, the first level of spiritual growth is zechirus. We must use our intellect, control our emotions. And we must think, like, I'm about to say something. Is this holy, what I'm about to say? Or is this, trivial or chas v'shalom, even mean or harsh? Like, what am I saying? Is it going to bring me closer to Hashem, or chas v'shalom, is it going to distance me? My actions, is this going to be good and kind and bring other people close? Is an action that's going to bring me closer to other people and to Hashem, or chas v'shalom, am I going to do something that's mean or cruel and distance me from other people? Or sometimes, you have to have a little din. Sometimes you have to, especially with children, you have to say, no, you can do this and you can't do that. But, how are we going to do that? Just get angry and lose it, or really think about it? What's going to help them grow? What's going to be the best for them? What's going to elevate them? So these are all the qualities of zechirus, of being careful. And Yaakov gives Ruvain the warning that a pachaz kamayim, if you're too quick to get angry, if you're too quick to do things without thinking sometimes, that's not the qualities that lead to leadership, to a good melech, to a king, or the kahuna or high priest that will attach people to Hashem. So a person can lose a lot of Torah. Torah is compared to mayim, compared to water. If a person's too hasty, and it's a lesson that really takes patience. You cannot learn the whole Torah in a day. Lahavdil, even Rome, the great Roman Empire, was not built in a day. It takes day and night, day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year, decade after decade, patiently learning and absorbing the chachma of the Torah, the wisdom of the Torah, and carefully working on our midos. Just as Rabbi Akiva saw, like this, the water can carve even the mighty stone, and the Torah can soften our hearts. The Torah that's compared to Aish, that's compared to fire, the Aisha Torah, it can burn away all our bad midos, all our bad character traits, and it can soften our hearts and make us kinder people, wise people. And we can connect better with other people. We can connect better, with Hashem. So it's a great advice that Reuven's given, and we can all learn this amazing mussar that Yaakov gives him, and it's a bracha, really. Now, the Zohar says something incredible. We know throughout the Tanakh that the tribe, the Shevet of Reuven, were great warriors, and they helped to conquer the land of Israel. So during the days of Yeshua ben Nun, during the days of Joshua, that they were a great tribe. And even though they picked land on the east side of the Jordan River, they came and fulfilled the whole conquest, I believe it was 7 years, to conquer all the land of Israel and help everyone else acquire their land, help all the rest of the Shvatim. So they used their great physical strength. And Reuven's the great Baal Teshuvah. He messed up, but he redeems himself. He messed up and he lost the Bechor, he lost the Malchus, but his idea was to save Yosef, not to hurt Yosef. When the brothers wanted to hurt and kill Yosef, Reuven just said, no, let's just throw him in a pit. And his idea was to come back and get him later. And he fought for the other Shvatim, and that's the Melech, that's the true king. And it's a powerful nation of Reuven, the powerful tribe of Reuven. And the Zohar says incredible things. And in the future, the tribe of Reuven will fight incredible wars in the days of Mashiach. And they will have so much strength that the enemy nations will be terrified and tremble before the Shevet of Reuven. Incredible, the Birkat Yaakov of Reuven. And we can all learn amazing things from it. So next, he brings in Shimon and Levi, the second-born and the third-born son. And he says, you are Achim, Shimon and Levi, Achim, you are brothers. And that's good in some ways. You're close, you love each other, you have that brotherly love, you're a tight unit, you're terrifying. Like Lechavdil to the terrifying Ravens linebackers of Roshan, and I think it's Roshan Smith, sorry, and Patrick Queen, devastating, bring fear into the enemies, But they had great love for their sister Dinah, and we see something very scary and similar in what we're facing right now, that the violation of Dinah by Shechem. And we've seen it recently, unfortunately, on the Shabbos of Simchas Torah, when we were shattered with the horrible violation of the young Jewish women and the young men and the children and the elderly in the horrible attack from Gaza. And we've seen it recently in our days, but how do we respond to it? That's the question. So Shimon and Levi, they were brothers. They loved Dinah, their sister, and they wanted to avenge this horrible violation, and they wanted to rescue her from captivity. But what Yaakov's also saying, you didn't act like a brother to Yosef. You were the ones, Levi, I believe, said, oh, here comes the dreamer, and Shimon was the one that threw him into the pit. It's like you acted like brothers, but not a brother to Yosef. So you have to be careful. And this one is really startling. He says, Klei Hamas Mechero Sehem. You have the instruments of Hamas as those weapons. And Rashi says, I believe it's stolen tools are their weapons. That's how it's defined. And unfortunately, we've seen the tools of Hamas. But Shimon and Levi, who from him is descendant Aaron HaKohen, Aaron, the brother of Moshe Rabbeinu, the brother of Moses, who becomes the first Kohen Gadol, the first high priest to serve in the Mishkan. How can it be Levi and Shimon, the great Shimon, the second born of Yaakov and Leah? How can it be that they're using Hamas? What does Hamas mean? Hamas means to steal by force and violence. It means violence itself. It means ritzicha. It means murder and bloodshed. And it means avodah zarah, chas v'shalom. So what does it mean? What is Yaakov warning them that you're using these tools of Hamas? And he's saying they're not your tools. So Rashi tells us, he says, this is the craft of murder, and you stole this from Esav. It's Esav who was given the blessing. Yitzhak blessed his son Esav, and he gave him the blessing, V'al charbecha tichiyeh. By your sword you will live. And we saw the children of Esav go on to form the mighty Roman Empire. And today, 2023 years later, we're on the brink of going on to the 2024 of the Roman years and the Roman years of this exile. Another year in exile, but it's like Asa was given the blessing that you will be successful in military combat. You will build your empire, and not just one. It could be 10 empires of Edom, like we saw in the book of Sefer Daniel. The terrifying beast had these 10 horns. It was the 10 phases of the Roman Empire, finally into our days of the USA, of America being the most terrifying, and the vast American empire spread out through all the world. And they're scared of the blessing, the al charbecha tichiyah, that you will live upon your sword, the terrifying arsenal of the American military, the incredible powerful Navy with nuclear submarines. And we see right now U.S. carrier strike groups in the Middle East with ballistic missiles, nuclear weapons that can level not just cities but countries, the terrifying power, the power of the Marines and the Army, and the incredible technology of the Air Force, and the nuclear destruction, and the power of the al charbecha tichiyeh. But Yaakov's saying, these are not your tools. You stole them from Edom. This belongs to your brother Esav, not to you. So it's a very interesting question. And we don't quite get to see exactly what Yaakov's plan would have been after the violation of Dinah. We know that there was discussion that Shechem and Hamor, his father, Shechem was the prince of the city of Shechem, and Hamor, his father, that they wanted to enter into a covenant with the Jewish people, that they would get circumcised, they would have a milah. And I believe Yaakov's intention. Now, it seems strange that after all the effort that Abraham went through to make sure that Yitzhak didn't marry one of the daughters of the Canaanites, and that all the effort and the disgust that Yitzhak and Rivka, that Isaac and Rebekah showed when Esav, their son, married daughters of the Canaanites, that they went through such effort to get Yaakov to go back to Aram Naharaim and marry daughters, from Abraham's family, from Abraham's family of Leah and Rachel. It seems incredible that Yaakov's plan would be that his sons would marry the daughters of the Canaani, the daughters of Shechem. So it doesn't seem like that would be the plan, and we don't get to fully see it, but it seems maybe along the lines of Yaakov thought that Shechem was the prince of these people, and they were having trouble controlling their physical desires. So the bris milah, the circumcision, would give them some strength into controlling their desires, and maybe they would become gerim and learn the Torah and follow the mitzvos, at least the Sheva b'nei Noach, the 7 mitzvahs given to the sons of Noach. But we don't quite see the plan, because on the third day, Shimon and Levi go and they kill all the inhabitants, all the men in the city. So, and Yaakov's furious at them, and he curses, we'll see in these brachas, he curses their anger. So it seems that this has a big relation to what's going on now in Gaza and the appropriate response. And I believe some of the Mefarshim, what they say is it was justified if Shimon and Levi had killed just Shechem, who was the one who actually violated Dinah. And it was justified probably also with Hamor because he was the king. And if his son had these horrible, this horrible lack of morality and ethics, that he also, as the king, as the ruler, he also was chayav misa, he was liable for death. But the rest of the members of the city, they didn't actually participate in the crime and in the capture of Dinah. Now, there may be a little bit of joint responsibility of not rescuing her, but this is the prince and the king. She's taken captive to the palace of the king. And it seems like Yaakov's response is that they killed innocent people not involved in the Avera. And it seems like this is somewhat similar to what's going on in Gaza, a little more complex. Those that were involved in the Hamas, the actions of Hamas, and this is interesting, it doesn't just have to be they're the actual member of the terrorist group Hamas, but even a civilian, whoever was involved in that day, who was ever involved in the horrible atrocities, there's a din, there's a judgment of Misa, there's a judgment of death for the horrible atrocities and the murder and the violation that they caused that day. But, so civilian or terrorist, whoever engaged in those atrocities, it seems like there's a din there. But the world cries out to protect the innocent. And that's true. And that seems to be what Yaakov was saying. The innocent that didn't participate in that day, even as evil as it is to cheer and be happy for it, and that's a horrible midah, but only the ones that participated, that they, should be the ones that are punished. And then, Bizrat Hashem, we will see the rescue of the hostages. It really saddens me that they haven't been able to rescue, by the IDF itself, more hostages. And Bizrat Hashem will turn that around. And then, one thing that Yaakov was concerned with is that this would be a chilo Hashem. This would be a disgrace for Hashem, for future Gerim, for future people from other nations that wanted to join the Jewish people as a convert, that a bris milah should have any negative connotation to it, that it shouldn't be looked at as a beautiful mitzvah and a kodesh thing, a holy thing that elevates a person and brings them closer to Hashem and brings them into the bris, brings them into the covenant of Hashem's Torah and His mitzvos. All right, so incredible, so much to talk about there, Shimon and Levi. Poor Shimon, but I believe we're going to see great redemption from the tribe of Shimon in the end of days, and in the days of Mashiach, that he's going to reach his greatness. So one of Yaakov's advice was to spread Shimon and Levi out throughout the Jewish people, and most of Shimon, they were spread out through the tribe of Yehuda, and the Midrash says they became scribes. And sometimes they had to beg, for food, and they became elementary school teachers. And if anyone ever has taught elementary school, you'll know that is not easy. that will bring a person to greatness, because it's not so easy to get everyone under control and to teach them. And that's the fix. That's the tikkun for Shimon. And then Levi was also spread out throughout the whole Jewish people in the land of Israel. And there was the cities of the Levium, the cities of the Levites, and that they served in the Beis HaMikdash, and they received mussar, they received 10% from everyone else's produce and crops and grains, and that was the fix. And then we'll see that Levi elevates themselves, and we'll see at the end of the whole Torah, the end of the Chumash, that Moshe's blessing is different from Levi, but Shimon, in this advice to not get angry, like Yaakov curses their anger. And in this advice is the fix, the tikkun for those shvatim, for those tribes that reach their greatness in the days of Mashiach. May we see it soon. Okay, so then the fourth child of Yehuda and Leah, Yehuda, the mighty Yehuda, the lion, who we are all called now. We're not called the Ruvanis. People don't call us the Ruvains. They don't call us the Shimoni. They don't call us the Shimons. They don't even call us, the Levis. You're still called, if you're blessed enough to be from Shevet Levi, you're still called the Levium. My name's Levi, but I'm a Yisrael. But we're called the Yehudim. We're called the Jews. We're called the Jews after the mighty Yehuda. So Yehuda ata yoducha achecha. Incredible. So it says, Yehuda, your brothers will acknowledge. They will acknowledge you. What does it mean? It means that, when Yehuda, the kingship is so natural to Yehuda that the brothers don't mind when Yehuda became king. And we see it. Yehuda says, what can we gain from selling Yosef? So he protected Yosef from the sale, from killing him, but he lowered himself in the sense of let's sell him to the Yishmaelim, let's sell him to the Arab merchants. And the brothers listened to whatever he said. If he said, let's save Yosef, as the true Melech of the Jewish people would say, but he wasn't quite there yet, the brothers would listen to him. And then when it's time to have to bring Benjamin back down to Egypt to stand in front of Yosef, to stand in front of Joseph, who's the viceroy, even Yaakov, his father, listened to him. And people listen. They listen to Yehuda because he is the kingship. And we see the great line of David HaMelech, of King David, comes from Yehuda. And it's the ability to unite all the Jewish people. David Melech, Chai V'Kayam. Mazel, Mazel Tov. Siman, Siman Tov. We long for the days of the great David HaMelech, the Mashiach ben David. Because the Jewish people, he has that quality that people listen to him. He has that true kingship. So we see the building of the first Beis HaMikdash. The first temple was done by Shlomo HaMelech, the great wise King Solomon. And then the second temple was built by Zerubbabel, who was the son of Shaltiel, and he was in the line of David HaMelech. He was in the line of King David. And the Gemara says that he's Nehemiah, that he's the one that becomes the governor appointed over Israel during the days of the Persian Empire, and that him, Zerubbabel, or Nehemiah, and Ezra, they rebuild the temple again, the second Beis HaMikdash. And Bezrat Hashem, soon in the future, we will see the great Mashiach ben David rebuild the third Beis HaMikdash. So the Zohar says something interesting. It says at first the blessing is that he's a Gur Aryeh. And when David HaMelech first started out, he was like a lion cub. He was soft, he was gentle. And he listened, even though Shaul HaMelech, Saul, was the first king from the tribe of Binyamin, and David was his son-in-law, that he was gentle. He listened to the king. He didn't disobey what the king said. And even when Shaul was trying to kill him, he never went against the king. He said, he's the Mashiach of Hashem. He's the king. He's the anointed king. I'll wait my turn. I'm just going to be a lion cub right now. But a lion cub still can gore the mighty Goliath, the mighty Goliath, still can gore the enemy armies of the Jewish people. Still a lion, but just a cub, gentle. But then he grows up into the mighty Aryeh, the mighty lion. And there's actually 4 expressions of a lion, which is interesting in all these blessings. And that's the beginning of the Malchus, of the kingdom of Mashiach ben David. We'll see one day. He'll start off soft and gentle, but at the dignity of a king, of a lion. And then we'll see him grow into his full strength as he spreads Torah from from one end of the world to the other. And then it says, Miteref Penei Alisa. Miteref Beni Alisa. It says, from prey, my son, you ascended, you went up. It means he's also filled with rachamim. He's filled with compassion. He knows when to leave. Even though he's a mighty warrior, he knows when to stop. And he says, like with Yosef, he says, Ma betzak, what gain do we have by killing Yosef, our brother? We'll sell him. Still not the proper response to the king, but selling him, not killing him. Yosef was in his power, but he had mercy on him. We'll sell him, we won't kill him. But then the greatness of when we see the full greatness of Yehuda, it says, Shehodat Tzadka Mimeni, that he admitted when Tamar was accused of being a Zona, when accused, with Yehuda himself, which he didn't realize, engaging in illicit activities, but we saw that there is the seed of Mashiach was going to be born from parrots, from their son. And he admits that Tamar was more righteous than him. Because she says, Hekerna, see these things. Is this your signet, ring? Is this your scepter? Is this your talus? All the aspects of kingship. And he says, you're right. And he can admit in public that he was wrong and that Tamar was righteous. And that's an incredible ability to be able to admit we're wrong to the whole world in public. It's not so easy. And it's the great quality of Yehuda. And Lo Yasor Shevet Me Yehuda. The scepter will never lead, will never depart from Yehuda. So even after the line of kings was destroyed, we see even in our Gullus in Babel, even our exile in Babylon, there was the Reish Galusas, there was the exilarchs, there was the descendants of King David that ruled even in the exile. And we saw the great Torah scholars. There's never a generation that's not a great Torah scholar descended from David HaMelech, from King David. So the leadership of the Jewish people has always been with the descendants of King David. And we saw the great Hillel HaZaken, the mighty Hillel, mighty in Torah, and his descendant, Rebbe Yehuda Hanasi, the great Yehuda the Prince, who was the one that put together the Mishnah, that codified all the Mishnah. And I think Rashi was a descendant of King David. I think the Maharal, there's so many to mention. But we've had Torah leaders through every generation that have been a descendant of King David, of the great David, because the scepter, the royalty will never leave the tribe of David. And even the Chashmonaim, we saw that they were punished because they were descended from Levi's, the mighty Maccabees. And then when they became kings, they overstepped the boundaries. They were only supposed to be the kahuna, the Kohen Gadols, the high priest. But when they took the throne away from Yehuda, they were punished. And we saw the fall of even the mighty Chashmonaim after many generations. So then it says, Ad ki yavo Shiloh, until Shiloh comes. And then the Malchus will be even greater. And who's Shiloh? So Rashi tells us it's Melech HaMashiach. It's Mashiach ben David. And then incredible things we learn about the times of Mashiach ben David. It says, Osri legefen iro, that he's going to tie his donkey to a grapevine. What does it mean? So we see in the Nevuah, I think it's in the Nevuah in the Zechariah, that Mashiach, one aspect, he will be a poor man riding on a donkey. What does that mean? He's going to come in physically poor because he's devoted his life. We'll see with Yisachar. He's devoted his life to Torah study, not accumulating mass wealth. And he's poor in the physical materialism, but he's in control of the chamor. He rides on the chamor. He's in control of the chomer. He's in control of all physical aspects of life. He's in control of his physical desires, and that's the quality of the great David HaMelech, the King David, and the Mashiach ben David. And it's interesting because it's nichnas yayin motzi sod. When the wine goes in, out comes the secrets. They both have the gematria of 70. And wine is the great secrets of the Torah that he's going to teach us. And wine has the great quality that wine can physically warm up a person's body if they're cold. And he's going to warm up not only the goof, not only the body, but the neshama, the soul with his great Torah. It's going to warm the neshama and bring great happiness. Just as wine brings happiness and greater clarity sometimes in understanding the secrets of the Torah, his Torah is going to be so beautiful. It's going to bring great simcha to the Jewish people. And we see ki beis yayin levusho, that he's going to wash his clothes with wine. And the Zohar says that this is a wine. The wine is a vision of happiness. It's a nevuah for the future of how happy people are going to be in the age of Mashiach. Uvdam anavim soso, and his robe is washed in the blood of grapes. This sounds very terrifying. Washing, blood, washing a garment in blood. So the Midrash, the Lekach Tov, he tells us something incredible. He says that in the days of Mashiach, that Hashem's going to take revenge on Edom, the great Roman Empire, even until now, all aspects of the Roman Empire into the modern world. So now you may say, well, I don't quite understand. I mean, in America, if America is the final aspect of Edom, I mean, there's no pogroms now. They're not trying to kill us. There's not the rampant anti-Semitism. So what is this punishment for? It's the destruction. Emperor Titus on the 9th of Av on Tisha B'Av destroys the first temple. The brutality and murder of the Crusades, the Spanish Inquisition, the pogroms, the Holocaust. Now here's where it gets scary. Even in today's world, the Biden administration, on that massacre on Simchas Torah on 10/7, on October the 7th, unfortunately Biden, his administration gave tens of billions of dollars to the Iranian government, which financed Hamas's atrocities, finances Hezbollah shooting missiles down. He financed Iran and all their proxy groups. In a sense, it's financing the war. It's very scary, but it finances the potential attack from Hezbollah in the north, Iran and Syria attack from the other northern side of Israel. You have the Houthis in Yemen blocking all commerce and trade and attacking with missiles. And unfortunately, this is all financed from the tens of billions of dollars released to the Iranians, to Paras, to Persia. But the good news too, besides the revenge and the terrifying wars of Gog and Magog, that Mashiach is going to clarify the words of Torah. So it means the blood of Torah means it's going to squeeze out all the beautiful learning of the Torah, and there's going to be a physical abundance of this high, superior quality of wine in the territory of Yehuda in the future. So then Zavulun. So it says Zavulun lechof yamim yishkon v'hu lechof onios v'yarchaso al Sidon. That Zavulun will live by the seashores. He will be at the ship's harbor, and his end is at Sidon, which I believe is a city in modern-day Lebanon. And Zavulun will board ships to travel in order to buy and sell merchandise. So the Lechak Tov tells us that his blessing is that they were great merchants all throughout Jewish history. And the Yalkut Shimoni tells us an incredible thing, that he used all this great wealth to support his brother Yisachar, who devotes himself to Torah. And because he supports Yisachar in Olam Hazeh, in this world, with all the profits of his business, that Zavulun is going to be rewarded with Yisachar in Olam Haba. He's going to receive all the great reward of all the Torah that Yisachar learned. And we'll see something incredible in the days of Mashiach, that with all this international commerce, I mean, we have Amazons, we have international, internet commerce, and right now we see the Houthis attacking in the Red Sea, and they're preventing, the ships, the huge cargo ships, from coming through the Suez Canal. But we see there's trillions of dollars in international commerce, internet commerce, shipping, the planes, trains, automobile, however you can move products around through the trucks, and Zavulun will be the master. They will be the CEOs of the mighty international trade, and we'll see trillions of dollars. And what will they use that money for? What will the profits go to? It will be propping up all the yeshivas and all the learning in Eretz Yisrael, and we'll see trillions of dollars of commerce, but not being wasted anymore, using to build Torah, to lift up the Jewish people, to return ourselves to Torah and mitzvahs and a relationship to Hashem, and the trillions of dollars, if not more, quadrillions of the commerce that Zavulun will do in the future is going to lift up the entire Jewish people. And if their reward, what will their reward be then in Olam Haba? Incredible. So finally, we're going to end. Unfortunately, we're only going to do 6 of the Shvatim today. Mizrat Hashem will do a part 3, but the mighty Yisachar. And it says, Yisachar Chomer Garem Rovetz Bein HaMishpasayim. That Yisachar is a strong-boned donkey crouching between the boundaries. Okay, it sounds strange. Why is Yaakov giving this blessing? You're a donkey. This is the model. This is what we can learn how to become the great Talmid Chacham, the great Torah scholar. So in Yisachar's name, it's incredible. The name itself means Yesh Sachar. There is reward. Just in his name itself, it teaches us the great reward for learning Torah and doing the mitzvahs. And Rashi tells us that he's a strong-boned donkey who bears the yoke of Torah, the ol of Torah, like a strong donkey, which they load up with a heavy burden. So just as you pile all your loads on the donkey and he carries it, the Talmid Chacham, the great Torah scholar, which we can all aspire to be, he carries all the Chumash with all the Meforshim, with all the commentary, and he knows the whole Tanakh with all the commentary, and he studies the Remez level, he studies the Midrashim, and the level, the hints, he loads up on Mishnahs, on Gemaras, on Halacha, and then he loads up on the great Sod of the Torah, the Kabbalah, the Torah Nister, Torah Shel Ba'al Peh, Torah Shabik every Pasukim, every letter of Torah, he loads it up like the mighty donkey. The mighty Talmid Chacham lifts up the whole Torah. And Rovetz Bein HaMishpasayim, that Rashi says he's like a donkey walking back and forth day and night, and he doesn't sleep sometimes in the house at night. And the great Torah scholar, every day they walk back and forth from the base of Midrash to the yeshiva, back from the yeshiva, always learning. It's called a bias, the Gemara says, because you eat in there, you drink in there, you sleep in there, you make the base a Midrash, you make the yeshiva your bias, you make it your home, and you're just there day and night learning Torah. You have little sleep sometimes, that's your house. And sometimes you would travel all over the world, the great Rebbeim from all of Jewish history. We see Chazal, they travel from far distant lands sometimes to learn from a great rabbi that could teach them aspects of the Torah they couldn't learn in their local town or city. The great Talmidei Chachamim will travel all over the world to learn Torah, whatever they have to do. Day, night, never sleeping, like the mighty donkey, traveling, not sleeping, just always learning the words of Torah. But then, Vayareh Menucha Kitov, Ve'es ha'aretz ki na'ema. What's the reward? He sees a resting place. He sees a menucha, and it was good, and the land, that it was pleasant. What's the great reward of Torah? That there's the menucha, there's Shabbos, after the hard week of Torah in the base Midrash, and the Yeshiva, and the Shir, and the Pipulim, and the Lumdis, and all the Torah. And then it's Shabbos at Kodesh, and you just relax. And you go to shul, and you hear the great laning of the Torah, and you just study Torah at your leisure on Shabbos, and it's a relaxing Torah, and it's the Beis HaMikdash itself, and it builds this mighty load of Yisachar and all the Torah, the Talmid Hachamim. It's the bricks that build the Beis HaMikdash, the ultimate in Menucha, the ultimate in relaxation. And Rashi says that their portion in Eretz Yisrael, that Yisachar's portion in the land of Israel, was an Eretz Mivoreches. It was a blessed land. The land itself of Yisachar was filled with bracha, was filled with blessing, and it produced incredible fruit and crops. And Pirkei Avos says that if a person puts on the old Torah, if he puts on the yoke of the Torah and the mitzvos, Hashem removes the derech eretz. Then you don't have to work so hard. Then Hashem provides for you more. It's more through not the natural teva way that Hashem will make it a more miraculous learning. And there may be years and years of not financial success, and just not, chasing after money and just learning Torah and just only acquiring the chachma, only acquiring the wisdom, but there's a final reward. There's always a great reward for the Torah. And Bereshis Rabbah says that Yisachar's portion was blessed with gigantic fruit, and they would sell the fruit to the other nations, and the nations would say, what made this fruit so big? Are these people, Yisachar, are they masters in agriculture? Do they work day and night on their crops? What do you do to get such incredible fruit? And their answer was no. They barely leave the Beis Midrash. They barely leave the yeshiva. They're just learning day and night, and Hashem's the one that grows this miraculous fruit for them. And it's the Eretz Ne'ema. It's pleasant. Their land is blessed. They can work on the Torah. Hashem's going to provide their physical needs. And that's the great blessing. Those many Gerim, those many people that converted to the Torah and the mitzvos because they saw the great blessing Yisachar. Okay, I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope to see you back again soon on Sweet and Good Torah.